Welcome, everyone, to another episode of FitFam podcast. As always, this is Miss Natural Olympia Hilary.
And this guy next to me is Doug the Formulator.
And we're excited today because we're actually going to be talking about one of our favorite subjects, exercise, but a little bit different twist on it, right? There's a new molecule out that, say new, it's really been focused and researched on in the last 15 years. But it's really getting a lot of exciting new research being done on it because of all the effects and the benefits from it. So we're going to be talking about it, and it has to do with exercise, this special molecule. But before we get into it, the actual molecule itself and why it's important for you to know about it, let's first talk about just exercise and the benefits of exercise so that people can kind of get in the groove as to why this episode is so important.
Yeah, I think the cool thing is that we already know there's multiple benefits to exercise, and it's fun as research comes out to show, that there's further studies that are proving not just, endorphins and all of that, but it goes much deeper, which is just really cool because, well, we love exercise. So just a few that we talk about all the time. Exercise controls weight.
We know that because muscle burns more calories than fat, so
right.
It controls weight. We thought that was the only reason, and we're going to learn today.
Right. But exercise in general. So we're not just talking about building muscle with that one. We're talking about exercise.
Well, movement, just to burn calories.
Right, exactly. And then exercise combats health conditions and diseases, of course, which is, honestly should be the number one reason why we exercise, right?
Absolutely. And there's some specific conditions, I think, that
are
related to that.
Yeah. So we're talking about heart disease, then we go into blood pressure, we're going into diabetes, all the different things. So stroke, metabolic syndrome, depression, anxiety, lots of types of cancers, arthritis. So exercise helps to combat all of these.
And as you get older, the number one cause of death, believe it or not, is falling.
Right.
And I don't think people realize sometimes that exercise actually increases bone strength. That if you don't put pressure on the bone, the body quits secreting the chemicals that go in and repair the bone and be able to make it stronger. And so that's another one that I think is kind of people don't think about.
Right. I mean, that was what led to your father's ultimate passing.
Absolutely.
Was him falling and breaking his hip.
Yeah, absolutely.
And he was 93, so 92 or 93?
Yeah, 92.
Yeah. Okay, so exercise improves mood,
and that's something that you're talking about that we've known lately, but we weren't quite sure how it was happening, and now we know.
Yeah. And I think we've actually talked about this before. But so it'll be good to hit again. But yeah, the mood thing, if you can't get yourself in the gym because of the importance of, reducing your risk of disease, then certainly you want to feel better. So it boosts energy, which is very important, promotes better sleep, and increases a happy sex life.
Yeah. So endocrine hormone balance, and we'll talk about exactly how it does that today.
And then this last one is cute. It talks about how exercise can be fun and social.
Yeah. Well, in the study of the people that live the longest on planet Earth, one of the things that was unique, that was consistent in any groups, right, whether it was the Hunzas or people in Sardinia, Italy, or Russia, or any of those areas, they found that one of the factors was community, and a lot of the community many times was kind of fitness, like fun, games, things like that.
I like that.
So that was kind of
cool.
Yeah,
so I do want to kind of touch quickly on this because I feel like sometimes there's this thought that goes out that as long as you're eating right and you're fairly physical in your daily activity, like your job, mm-hmm. or whatever your job might be, if that's raising children or an actual job that you leave for work for, if you're busy, then you're good and you don't need exercise. So I want to touch on that.
Let's do, because there's a lot of diets and stuff out there right now that people are on and they're losing weight, but because of the nature of the diet, they either don't exercise or they don't have the energy to exercise, and they justify it saying, I don't need exercise, or I'm not exercising more, like intermittent fasting, things like that. There's so many people I know that don't exercise now because they've cut their window of time that they're eating so small. They just don't have the energy.
Well, and I actually don't even know that it's just an energy thing for everyone. I think sometimes it's a misconception of if my body fat is reduced, then I don't need exercise. If I've lost this weight, then I don't need exercise. And I think going into all of the important factors that exercise has on your life, I think it's not just about, although it's vitally important to have a lower body fat for health, it's about exercise in general and what it can do. And living a busy life isn't the same as exercising. They're two separate things, right? Absolutely. We used to have this discussion even with my brother, because my brother used to constantly say, no, I'm busy at work. I'm constantly walking. But exercise needs to be something, a strain on your muscles and body that's outside of your daily activity, because your body gets used to that daily activity, correct?
Correct. And another thing too is, let's say you even have a strenuous job and you're working, right? And you're like, well, I lift weights because I do the shovel or different things like that. The reason you still need to exercise with resistance outside of that is balance. So right. Even like with the professional athletes, the exercises we do in the weight room were different than the ones that help them do their sport many times. It was the opposite to keep the muscles balanced from the ones they work every day. So a lot of reasons for that, but that leads perfectly into the discussion today as to why you need to exercise, not just for the benefits of body fat and that, but the reason you should exercise the most is because of this new chemical called mitokines. And so it might be new to a lot of people, but mitokines, M-I-T-O-K-I-N-E-S.
I watched this guy do this video the other day, and he sat, he's a bodybuilder, and he sat in such a way that his muscles constantly looked flexed. I feel like I should try that. Anyways, okay. I want to see if you even know where this reference is coming from, okay?
Okay.
Okay. It is a fact that exercise makes you happy, and happy people don't just shoot their husbands. They just don't. What movie is that?
I don't.
Did you know that was from a movie?
No, I did
not. Elle Woods. Does that help you know what movie?
Oh, the blonde, warrior chick?
Wow,
what?
Good job. I'm actually impressed. Legally Blonde.
Had you and Nevaeh.
So that's just the quote they led into with this study. I thought that was cute. But why does exercise have the happiness-inducing effect? Researchers are getting better at understanding the answer, right? Mm-hmm. And it comes down to the myokines.
So let's break it down. Okay. Myo means muscle.
Okay.
Right? And kines, it can be a bunch of different things, but in this case, it's like little protein molecules. So kines are protein molecules. So these are muscle molecules or chemicals that are secreted from the muscle while you exercise. So myokines, chemicals from the muscle when you exercise, are secreted. And there are different types of myokines. But I think the important thing is that the new research shows that when we exercise, our body secretes these chemicals, right, little proteins, myokines, and that these myokines have much greater benefit to the body than we ever imagined. We're like, oh, we know that, like you mentioned, and I think it's been around forever, when you exercise, you get these endorphins and these happy, right. Like we're excited.
Which is enough to make me work out always, because I can get a little moody if I don't.
Well, and let's maybe start there. The main myokines that were first discovered were ones based on the brain and being able to keep us happy. And that was really the very first discovery. It's like, wait, this isn't just movement that's making us so that we are like, hey, yeah, let's get going. We thought it was circulation.
Okay,
like really,
right.
When I first went to school, that's what we were taught.
Yeah.
Is that exercise increases circulation. Circulation increases, blood flow and that. And that's how come you get happier when you move. And there is some truth to that, but that is way, way, way less important than the actual chemicals, myokines, that are secreted to help with depression.
Okay.
And so
I love that.
there's another term for myokines, just because that's a technical term that is kind of known more in social media world and the public and stuff like that. Are you familiar with that one? The hope molecule.
Oh, yeah.
And so the hope molecule, and there's a little research behind this hope molecule, why it's called that. It was actually a study that was done. Yeah, you actually have that.
I think it's right here.
Right here, yeah.
So researchers have come to understand that when our muscles contract, they produce substances that get dispersed throughout the body. Some of these are chains of amino acids called myokines, and they are able to cross the blood-brain barrier, which means they can act on your brain. And when they get there, they improve brain function. So several myokines. I'll let you
Talk about them.
speak about them. Yeah, you want to talk about those?
Well, I think there's a few that are known. Hydroxybutyrate. There's a few
that would have been one that I would not have gotten.
That they're somewhat popular in that, but there's very specific mitokines, protein chemicals that go to the brain from the muscle. So the second you start exercising your muscle, they go to the brain and they stimulate, we call it neuronal function, but people always hear about endorphins and serotonin and oxytocin, all these happy molecules.
Okay.
And so the study was done in 2014, and the study was done with mice. And what they did is they were able to determine which mice had low levels of mitokines. In other words, when the mice were exercised,
right,
they didn't secrete.
And they were swimming, by the way.
And they're swimming. They didn't secrete many mitokines. And so the ones that didn't secrete many mitokines, they're like, okay, what's up? What's the difference between the mice that secrete a lot of these protein chemicals from exercise and ones that don't? And that was the big factor with it.
Yeah.
And what they found was that they put them under a bunch of stress, right? And the mice, without these chemicals, the mitokines being secreted, lost hope. And I don't know how they determined they lost hope.
Well, they quit swimming as they would
give up,
poop
right?
out. Yeah.
Poop out.
Yeah.
And so she knows the study better than me.
Oh.
So.
Yeah, right.
And so the mice without those chemicals just like gave up, and they're like, wait, the difference is just these chemicals from the muscle. And that's why they were critical, and it really brought this understanding of called the hope molecule, because exercise gives you hope. It gives you happiness.
Okay, so I have a question. So when we're talking about these myokines, they are produced from muscle itself.
Yes.
So when we're talking about exercise right now, we're talking about the importance of muscle itself, because that's what releases these myokines.
Correct. So think about your muscle, and we exercise, and there's two things that happen. There's actual chemicals secreted into the bloodstream from the muscle, these mitokines, but others, the mitokines are created in the muscle, and some of these proteins are messengers, and they just connect to the nerve. They go straight to the brain and say, hey, brain, man, we're exercising. We need more serotonin, dopamine. We need to make you happy so that you'll want to continue to exercise and get the brain functioning at a higher level. And so a lot of them are signalers.
Right.
They're kind of like peptides. They're signalers that come from the muscle, the mitokines, and other ones are actual proteins that get in the bloodstream.
Okay. Good to know.
So kind of a dual benefit there. But, there's so much research on depression, on youth, on adults, middle-aged, and then older adults, showing that exercise actually can be more beneficial to fighting depression than any drug out there.
Whew.
So that's huge.
I love it. No,
that's huge.
that is huge.
So there's a lot of different ones, a lot of different of these mitokines, but in your world in bodybuilding, there's one that's been researched ever since I got into exercise and muscle, because they're like, what can we do in the body?
Are you talking about myostatin?
Boom, that's it. What can we do in the body to help the body build more muscle? And then you ever seen those old Brahma bulls and things like that?
Dude, like muscle, it's almost scary the way they look.
Like muscle on muscle
muscle
on muscle.
on muscle.
Well, they're like,
we
why?
need to put that picture up. By the way.
We'll put that. So why in the world do these types of bulls have so much more muscle than any other animal? And they just, did the blood work, and they found out that they don't have very much myostatin. And so that was kind of cool. And what we mean by myostatin, remember, myo means muscle. And then if any of you know someone with heart disease, what type of drugs do they put them on, right? Statins. Statins means stop, right? So you take a statin to try to stop heart disease, stop the cholesterol and all that stuff in the body. A myostatin, muscle stopper, right? So you don't want the body to make a lot of extra myostatin. And when you exercise, you want your body to control that. And so there are certain nutrients that make it so the body doesn't produce excess myostatin. And these bulls don't have a lot of myostatin because they build muscle. And so they found out that myostatin.
So myostatin is the one. So there's 5 different myokines, right?
Yep.
Do you want to go through each one of them?
If I remember, there's one that they call MGF, the mechanical growth factor. It's one that helps the muscles grow in the body. There's some that are really big in the world of medicine, and they're for immune system. So your muscle will release these myokines to help build your immune system, called interleukins.
Yeah. So that I kind of would imagine helps with the whole disease type factor with muscle, right?
Yep, absolutely. The lowest, the greatest chance you have of beating cancer is based on your muscle mass. Isn't that crazy?
That's
Some new studies.
wild.
And we didn't know why, but now we know it's because of the myokines, it's special chemicals
Really cool.
from that. So
And we already went over myostatin.
myostatin,
And then what about the HGF?
HF, hepatocyte growth factor. So
I love
hepatocyte.
testing.
So yeah, thanks. Basically, it's with white blood cells, organ development, things like
Okay.
that. It's really a regeneration. So it's the anti-aging mitokine,
So-
and that's one of the benefits of exercise is anti-aging, and it's very specific because your body releases a chemical that helps regenerate organs and tissues in the
So
body.
this is the communication with the muscle to the organs, right?
Yep.
That's really cool concept. I love the concept of when we're exercising, the way that the body is communicating. Muscles are communicating to every other part of the body. So, when they're sending things to the brain, and then they're sending different things, obviously the heart, because it is muscle, but it's just such a crazy concept to me.
And we didn't know it, right?
Yeah.
People say you're muscle heads, and that was a bad connotation growing
Yeah.
up. When really, that's a great thing because the muscle will send these mitokines to the kidneys, to the liver,
Right.
and say, hey guys, we need you to be strong, and we want you to regenerate. And so they actually regenerate and anti-age versus if you don't exercise. And that's a really cool one. And so I think there's one more.
Yeah, and I think, so LIF.
So it's actually, this is really interesting. It's a new one, and it's the leukemia inhibit factor. And the leukemia inhibit factor of the myokines, it's a very specific myokine chemical that inhibits leukemia. And it was for a long time thinking, well, if you have cancer or something like that, don't exercise, don't put stress on the body. But now we know that the muscle itself excretes a chemical, myokine, to actually inhibit specifically this was leukemia. I'm sure we're going to learn more.
Yeah, so what I love about this study is that I'm such a big proponent of not just, because I love to get on the treadmill as well, right?
Right.
I love to get my blood pumping and to get my legs moving and to stress my body in that way and really get oxygen, forced through the body.
Yeah.
On the opposite side of that too, we love the concept of muscle. Obviously, it's my profession. So I love the concept that I think it's easy for people to jump on board with heart health and understanding that if they get on the treadmill and get their blood pumping, the benefits that come with that. But now all of this new research coming out with the benefits of muscle and what muscle can provide, not just skeletal, but what it can provide throughout the body with your organs and your brain function and your mood and all of that. I think it's such a beautiful concept of what God intended for the human physique to be and to look and to do. So I think that's beautiful, and I just love it so much.
No, that's huge. And I think, it can't be understated what you're saying, the importance of that. And can I talk about study real quick?
Yeah, but I did want to say this too. I was kind of trying to lead into this no, you're good, is that it's one of the reasons why. Are you pointing at something?
Huh? No, I like the point.
Oh, look, my blue nails with my blue sports bra. That is very fancy. Okay. Anyways, that is one of the reasons that we are also so big on natural bodybuilding, because the whole point is to bring the body to its ultimate health and vitality and longevity and what we can do in muscularly, what we can do, aesthetically, what we can do with heart health. It's all to bring us to our ultimate God-given potential with health and longevity. Optimal health. And so the fact that when you take in steroids and you go beyond what God intended for your muscular development to do, then we're now, bringing health conditions and disease back into the body on the reverse side, right?
Yeah, let's even talk about it. You're like, well, wait a second, guys, you're contradicting yourself, because if you build too much muscle, now you're saying it's a detriment versus, people that if they take steroids, they're building more muscle, and if muscle creates myokines, then that's a benefit. What Hilary said is so critical, is if we override the body's natural ability to do this, it puts our body into this state of hyperdrive. Now, another word for a mitokine, which is so good, he did this, is called a cytokine. And cytokines, in our world, you hear of these cytokine cascades, these cascades of inflammation and stuff throughout the body. Well, they're proteins that can be generated, chemicals from the muscle too, and it can be either good or bad. And what happens is when you take testosterone replacement therapy, hormonal therapy, or serious steroids, right? The Trembolone, things like that, Dianabol, those types of things, Winstrol, all those things. So any of those, right? And even talking about TRT, what's happening is you're overriding the body's natural mechanism with a synthetic chemical, with your drug. And that throws off the natural mitokine response. You're not getting just the right amount of these chemicals for brain health and for energy and for longevity. And it actually does the opposite to the brain chemicals. That's why many people that take steroids and TRT too long or too much actually get depression, and the rates of suicide and that are so high with people that have been off steroids.
Right. And which this isn't exactly that, but that's also why within bodybuilding, we also have an kind of on and off season where we take it easy and we allow more muscle growth and feed the muscles the way that they need to be fed. And then we have a leaning out session where we, develop, what we have and get rid of fat, because it's all about the proper balance of building muscle and increasing your longevity.
Absolutely. So we'll wrap it up a little bit. Let me talk about the study. Then we're going to talk about what you should be doing to release more healthy mitokines in your body for all the benefits that we talked about and all the new ones that are being researched right now. There's some phenomenal new studies that are going on right now that are just mind-blowing to me. So this study was the role of myokines, again, the muscle protein chemical messengers in exercise and metabolism. And I'm just going to read the conclusion of this. And this is really cool because it's one of the first studies that I'd ever read on this. And realized that they haven't been around for long. Miostatin and all that, discovered 2008, 2009. And so these are relatively new, and there's some brand new studies out. We're going to come up with new myokines, not just the ones that we mentioned. But they said the recent identification of skeletal muscle as an endocrine organ. Now that's critical. We just identified skeletal muscle now to be an endocrine hormonal organ. Yep. Like we didn't know that before, right? I love that that's actually the identification.
I do too.
That it's because it releases myokines and it expands our knowledge on how the nervous, endocrine, and immune systems contribute to the body's balance called homeostasis. Also, when challenged, we have to challenge the muscle, and when we challenge the muscle, the body secretes mitokines. As you said, it's not just about doing some aerobic. You have to challenge the muscle. And skeletal muscle is the largest organ in the human body. Our discovery of contracting muscles as a mitokine-producing organ opens a possibility for a whole new paradigm. Skeletal muscle is an endocrine organ that by contraction stimulates the production and release of these mitokines that influences metabolism, tissues, and organs, and longevity. So we're like, bam.
I love it so much.
You have to stress the muscle. So let's end with, what does that look like with people? What should they do to stress the muscle, and how often?
Yeah. So what does that mean? How much stress am I supposed to be putting on my muscles, and how often? So we would love for people to do 5 days of strength training. Yeah. If you're just getting into strength training for the first time, and you're just in that building the habit phase, then 3 days a week, start there and do a full body routine 3 days a week. So Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and work your full body, right?
Yep, 30 minutes.
30 to 45 minutes. You can get the whole body in. Even if when you start, it's just 2 sets for each body part.
Yeah, so let's quickly go through it. So we're doing that right now in the mornings, getting up early and doing a full body routine. Then later on in the day, going into your bodybuilding routine. So you start off, and you could do a couple exercises for the legs, like squats.
Yeah, so something
leg
that's
press,
great
things like that.
about you know, lifting weights in general doesn't necessarily mean you need weights at first. Eventually, you're going to need weights because you're going to need to increase the stress that you put on the muscle. But when you're starting out, a simple lunge can really get you your body going. So lunges are such a great leg workout. Lunges, squats, if you don't have any equipment.
And just go slow. The speed can increase the amount of resistance. So if you go slower, it increases the resistance right away.
What's funny too is you can create weight in a lot of different ways. You know, gallons of milk, you know, you can hold, or waters on each side. My grandson, this is hilarious, but he used to love it when I would hold him and I would lunge with him, and I would put him right here and I would hold him in front and I would lunge with him, and 9 out of 10 times he would fall asleep as I was lunging with him. So there's lots of good ways to increase weight when you're doing that.
So just exercises real quick. The standing, the squat, the lunge, you know, things like that. 2 sets each, about 10 reps, super simple. Chest, push-ups, or bench press.
Yeah, push-ups are such a great exercise because you're working your core as you're, you know, utilizing the push-up.
Right.
Yeah. So
and then the back, you can do pull-ups or pull-downs, or bend over and do a weight and keep your back straight and do rows with it. Shoulders, easy, just to do
military
press. You can actually go off of a bench and toward the ground, you know, do a military press from the ground.
Skull crushers?
Yep, or stink bugs. We're going to get stink bug. And then you can go to the triceps. And again, you can do push-ups a little bit closer. Or like you said, some call it skull crusher. Curls. You could go through each muscle group. Super simple. You know, like we're just explaining simply, you can work your full body in half an hour to 45 minutes, 3 times a week. Start with 2 times a week if you need it. The research shows a minimum of 2 times a week, and we like up to 5. So anywhere in between.
Yeah,
there.
and here's the deal that may make people excited or a little less excited, is that the goal is an hour a day of physical activity.
That's it.
In the exercise realm, not just working. So exercise outside of your daily tasks of an hour a day.
And it'll increase your productivity 3 hours a day. So the whole thing about time goes away. The research has been done. And so absolutely start now, put stress on the muscle through exercise. It'll increase your longevity, your organ health, your mindset, your overall ability to enjoy life, right? Through just balance and health.
And listen, we have clients that are extremely busy business people that just like their businesses take the majority of their time. And they will start their workout and give themselves about 30 minutes. Then all of a sudden work will come up. They'll leave the gym in their little house, right? In their big house. They'll leave the gym and go get some work done, and they will come back and finish their routines. So they make exercise a priority, and they have to, some of them just have to fit it in as it works throughout their day, but they're making it a priority.
That's it. So the bottom line is, if you like have conditions, pain, even some condition like diabetes or other condition like that, that you just haven't been able to get on top of, or you're worried about your risk of those types of diseases, energy levels are low, keeping your mindset positive in that. If you have trouble with any of those things, the new discovery is that muscle isn't just about muscle, the size of muscle aesthetics. It's about longevity. It's about your health. Start putting stress on the muscle, have your body release more mitokines, more chemicals, and it'll improve your health.
Yeah, one of the best things that my brother has said recently as he's started to work out more often and take care of his nutrition and diet is that had I known how much better I would have felt mentally, I'd have started this a long time ago. So I love that.
So let us know what you're doing. Just put stress on the muscle and what it does for you. As always, this is Miss Natural Olympia Hilary.
And this is Doug.
Enjoy.